Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kristopher H. Bilbrey. This is the 75th episode of the Political Spotlight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Grab your waters. Got it right here. Got this one. Got this backup water just in case. We've got a lot to cover. We've got a lot of interesting information to cover. And last night, when I got done with last night's episode, yesterday was a crazy day. It was a long day. And I kind of thought, all right. Former Clark County Sheriff James Knoll arrested and charged with 15 felonies, no bond. Holy crap. That's crazy. So that's sorry, I was texting my grandparents there. That's interesting. We'll see what happens down there. So when I got done with last night's show, I had a pretty good idea of where I was going with tonight's show, and I thought that we would pretty much just be moved over to talking about what's currently going on in government, and then maybe a bit about 2024. But then something happened. And I got to talking to a friend of mine last night about the election results. And from that conversation, that then led into another conversation today with another very important ally and source of mine that I think that we need to talk about. I feel as though I don't have any friends. That is definitely true. They're all just enemies of varying degrees. So we had to shift gears. Well, hello. You went from YouTube to Facebook? That's weird. Why'd you go to Facebook there, Doc? I mean, that's fine, either one, but it was just strange that you were on YouTube and then you switched down to Facebook. We could see you. Anywho, I got to looking at the MUNCIE election. We got to looking at the MUNCIE election, and there's something that we all need to talk about, because number one, it affects what goes on everywhere. I'm sure that I know this stuff happens everywhere. But number two, I think that there's going to be a lot of people in Muncie that are not, that don't look at this way. I know for a fact there is a lot of people in Muncie that don't look at this way. Number one, because we tend to normally not have very gracious losers or winners here in Muncie. And so generally our losers are very pissed off and mad. And normally our winners are pissed off and mad and boisterous and in your face with it. And so there's been a couple things that's gone on that I want to talk about, observations that are being made that I find funny now. But besides that, I want to talk about what I now think has happened in this 2023 election. And it's important because for those of us that are looking at the 2024 election, we're going to be dealing with some of these same people. We're going to be dealing with the Republican Party and the Republican Party's ways of doing things. So we need to be studied in this because we need to try to make sure that this does not happen. Now, if you look at the other side is completely, what are they? Well, who's the other side? Uh, do I mean Republicans because I'm a Democrat? I'm not a Democrat. Do I mean Democrats because I'm a Republican? Who's the other side and what are they? Are they happy? Are they sad? Because look what's happened in Muncie. They got the mayor's seat. They kept the mayor's seat. Ridenauer kept his seat. But the council swung, and it swung hard. It went from a 5-4 Republican lead to a 6-3 Democrat lead. And the mayor lost his head cohort on the council, Aaron Clark. That was rough for the mayor. It's rough for the mayor. Now, he did win a Dale Basham. So it wasn't like you got Aaron and Dale. That would have been a win for the mayor. He just traded one for the other. So that's not a win. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was, Troy. And what's interesting to me, stick around here, Troy, because I'm going to show you some stuff from Troy Tackett that is mind-boggling, because these people are literally saying this morning things that you and I and Andrew and Amber and Ryan and several other people have been saying for 2 or 3 or 4 years or 5 years. They're saying the same things, and they're all tripping over each other to go, yeah, 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 that's right, boss, that's right. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe you like Andrew Pop, maybe you don't. Maybe you like Troy Ingram, maybe you don't. Maybe you love Kristopher Bilbrey, maybe you hate him. But those people have been saying these things, and now Troy Tackett's on a post saying it. But before we talk about that, before we talk about where these political scholars themselves, these nobodies of politics, I include myself in that. We'll talk about that too. Before we talk about that, we must talk about what happened last night. What happened yesterday, my friends, was a municipal sacrifice. That's the name of tonight's episode. Episode 75, Municipal Sacrifice. Now, you'll notice we have kind of a smattering of people on this thumbnail. And not all of the losers are, not all of the winners are. So it's like, wait a minute, why, Andrew Pop didn't win. Why is he not on this? Well, I'll tell you why here in just a moment, but I want to let you all know so everyone knows who these people are. From left to right, we have Nick Talby in the red shirt, kind of looking like my brother a little bit, like a shorter version of my younger brother, my young brother. Young. And then we have, that's Nick Talby in the red shirt with his glasses looking cool hanging from his neck. And then next to him, we have Brad Marshall wearing his baby blue polo. And then next to him, we have Aaron Clark. What's up with that gray tuft of hair up there that he's got? That's kind of strange. I never noticed that. Aaron Clark is in the gray, looking like some kind of youth pastor getting ready to sing you all. I was gonna say some song, but I won't. And then next to him, with this very bizarre Freddie Mercury mustache he's grown here. He's grown here. We have Joshua Talby. So we've got the Talbys on the end. Oh, wait. Hold on. Just in, producer Kate. Oh, yes. Yep. Okay. I forgot. There's also a fifth man behind Talby and Marshall, and we can barely see him. And he's got a Ridenhour hat on, but I know it's not Ridenhour. Man, I don't remember that guy's name. Oh, I'm hearing it. It's me, Mario. No, it's Stephen Temple. No, Kyle Temple. All right, it's Kyle Temple. Yes, that's right. Kyle Temple. So we've got in the front row Nick Talby, Brandon Marshall, Aaron Clark, Josh Talby, and then hiding way in the back, we have Mr. Kyle Temple. And then over on the right, we have the Island Chief. And this is Chief Ridenhour. And you can see that the volcano is in need of a sacrifice. And Chief Ridenhour here has decided that he has 5 good sacrifices that he can offer up to the volcano, to the political gods, and say, so he wins, and so that the voters will vote for him. Dan Ridenhour is offering up by sacrifice these 5 gentlemen. Now, why do I say that? If you look at last night's election, okay, I want to tell you guys some numbers that are very, very important. Okay. Now, I have a lot of video, or not a lot of video. I have a lot of pictures that I am going to be putting up on screen for you all. But that's going to be in the second half of the show. I should have screenshotted these pictures for you, and I should have put these. Oh, wait a minute. I can do that. I'm sorry. I am here. That was stupid. I can do it. General election. Well, right here we go. Look. I can do it. Let me get rid of all of this. Get rid. Okay, I can do it. I know I can do it. Okay, let me put these up here. General election 2011. General election 2015. Wait a minute. General election 2011. General election 2015. General election 2019. And new general election 2023. Okay, let me pull up the summary. Summary, that works. That says 2023. That works. This is 2023. Good. All right. 2019. That's pulled up. That's good. 2015. Election summary. That's pulled up. That's good. And 2011. What do you know, folks? That was just that easy. Now let me blow this up here so you can see, and we'll get cracking. Okay, here we go. All right, folks. On the screen in front of you right now, I'll blow this up here so you can see it a little bit better. Make it large. Okay. Oh, there. That's perfect. As you can see, this is Delaware County, Indiana, 2011 municipal general election. And I so wish that my old friend, Fran, who's now apparently a mortal enemy, was here, because she used to argue with me that the only election that was ever called a general election was the presidential election in November. That the election in November in the municipal election was not called a general election. I said, Fran, that's ignorant. The election in May is the primary. The election in November is the general. And it doesn't matter if you're voting for city, county, presidential. It's all the same. State, primary, and general. That denotes the two elections. She swore up and down. So I wish she was here to see this, because I can promise you that this election in 2011 was a municipal. You can see it says municipal general election. So I won that argument from all those years ago, Fran. I hope you still remember that. Anyways. All right. I want you to look at some important numbers on this election summary with me. We're not going to go through, none of that stuff matters. Here's what matters. The public count. When I highlight that, what does that show up on your screen? All right, it shows up pink. So when I highlight the public count, you see that the public count was 17,279. That means every person that voted in that election, be it absentee ballot or day of, whatever, it all totaled 17,279 people voted in 2011. 2011 was a contested race. It was Sharon McShirley and Dennis Tyler. The Sharon McShirley Republicans were very ravenous. They wanted her to win. They were very similar to the Danatics. Most of them were the same people, honestly. And Dennis Tyler's 214 fan base was right on par with being very hungry for the election. And there was an excitement about this election. Now, look, in 2011, there were 60,811 registered voters in the city of Muncie. Out of that 60,811, 17,279 voted. You might want to write these numbers down at home if you're watching and playing along, but we're going to go through them all. So that means there was a voter turnout of 28.41%. All right. Now we're going to go through other numbers here in a minute, but I just want you to focus on those three numbers. How many registered? 60,811. How many actually voted? 17,279 and 28.41%. That's the percentage of voter turnout. All right. We're going to now bump forward and look at 2015. In 2011, that's the first time Dennis Tyler ran for mayor against Sharon McShirley, and he defeated her, becoming mayor of the city of Muncie. And the Democrats were thrilled. Sharon McShirley had had a one term in office. She had been very controversial. She had picked a bunch of fights with the county. She had fights with the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. She had laid off firemen. She had laid off police officers. She disbanded the then Muncie City, Delaware County Drug Task Force. And there was a lot of right and wrong and a lot of craziness that happened. And it was just a lightning rod. All right, this was a very bizarre time. If you're from Muncie, Delaware County, and you remember the Star Press forums, that was around this time, and that was when a lot of these people got their teeth cut in politics. Okay, that's a lot of these people that consider themselves political hacks today. They think that they are that because they were on the Star Press forums back in the day, and that's roughly this time. 4 years later, in 2015, now keep in mind, Dennis Tyler's a crook. Dennis Tyler's a bad guy. Everybody hates him. The Democratic Party's all corrupt and crooked. Be that as it may, man, that the Democrat song, Good Times Are Here Again, that was really like a truthful thing. Because when Tyler was elected in 2011, all right, let's just look briefly at how much he beat her by. Dennis Tyler won 56% to 43%. He received 7,823 votes to Sharon McShirley's 6,034 votes. Okay? So he beat her by, a good chunk over 1,000. He beat her by 1,800 votes. So it wasn't even close. All right? Well, 4 years later, ladies and gentlemen, 4 years later, the public, well, they thought, hey, things aren't going that bad. Things are not going that bad. Let me take you back to 2011 real quick just to show you this. In 2011, let's look at the contested races. Look at this. Look at this. McShirley Dennis. Clerk, Phyllis Reagan, Lori Quakenbush, Jesse. Judge, William Bruns, Diana Bennington. Man, she was a nut job. Okay, counsel at large was Allison Quirk, Linda Gregory, She Who Shall Not Be Named, Kathy O'Neill, Gavin Green, Murray Bartholomew. All right? Well, none of these people won, and all of these people won. So a Democrat won the mayor's office. A Democrat won the clerk's office. A Democrat won the judge's office. 3 Democrats won the at-large council. Doug Marshall was the only Democrat running, so he won. He's a Democrat. Mark Knatzer, District 2, Republican, he won, and he turned out to be a flake because he flaked out. Okay. Joe King, Mary Jo Barton. Mary Jo Barton won. She's a Democrat. All right. District 4, Brad Polk won. No challenger. All right. Jerry Dishman or Big Jim Arnold, longtime political critic. Jerry Dishman won. For District 6, Beth Quarles, Republican, or Julius Anderson, Democrat. Julius Anderson won. Okay. So it was primarily a council of Democrats. There were 2 Republicans on. So it was a 7-2 council. 7-2. 7 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and everyone else in city government was Democrat. All right. Well, That means they must have done a horrible job because, you know, how Democrats only like to lie, steal, cheat. They do nothing but rape and pillage, you know? Okay? Let's call it what it is. Let's look at what happened because of these Democrats were all in power. All right, in 2015, now look at this. In 2015, we jumped up. In 2011, we had 60,811 voters registered, but in 2015, we had 2,000 more registered voters. Okay? But in 2015, look at this. We went from 17,279 people coming out and voting. 17,000 people voted in 2011. 17,000. 17.2. In 2015, 5,576 people voted. Why? What happened in 2015 that there was such a sharp decline? Why did 11,000 people stayed home from 2011 to 2015? 11,000 people stayed home. Why is that? Well, let's take a look. It's because Dennis Tyler was running, but there was no Republican challenger. No one decided to file to run against Melissa Peckinpah. She was running as a first-time candidate, and no one wanted to challenge her. No one was challenging court Judge Amanda Dunnick, who had been caucused in to fill Diane Bennington's seat when she flaked out. Look at this. Look at these three at large. Now look at this. Allison Quirk, Democrat. She was the current incumbent. Linda Gregory, current incumbent. Nora Powell, current incumbent. Three Democrats. The Republicans filed nobody. They could have filed 3 people. They could have filed 2 people. Hell, they could have filed 1 person. They filed nobody. So these 3 ladies remained in the at-large. They got it. They could have voted for themselves and went home, and they would have won. So from mayor to clerk to court to council clerk and to at-large, there was nobody. All right, District 1, nobody decided to challenge Doug. District 2, District 2. Remember I said in 2011, Mark Knatzer won, and he flaked out. Todd Smeckens was running as a Democrat, and a man we know called Dan Ridenour in 2015 was running. That was a contested race. And in that race, Todd Smeckens, the Democrat, got 287 votes, and Dan Ridenour got 636. District 3, Lynn Peters, no Republican candidate. District 4, Republican Brad Polk, no Democrat candidate. District 5, Jerry Dishman, no Republican candidate. District 6, Julius Anderson, no Republican candidate. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, out of 10 offices, there were only 1 contested race. There were only 2 people that you could pick between, Ridenour and Smeckens. Obviously, Ridenour won. That's a Republican precinct, but that's the reason only 500 people showed up. So this one's kind of an outlier because the city of Muncie was doing well at this time. Now, unbeknownst to us, there were some things going on, and there were some people doing some things they shouldn't have been doing, and they deserve to answer for that. And they should have been investigated. They should have been arrested. They should have done their time. It is what it is. We move on. But at this time, people didn't know that, and everybody was happy. So no one challenged. All right. So in this is kind of an outlier. Now let's jump up to 2019, because of course we know in 2016, 15, 16, the FBI investigation kicks off over the next 4 years. It's crazy. We all know what happens. Let's go to 2019. In 2019, this is important stuff here, folks. Stick with us. I'm going to tell you why this is so important. We had a grand total of 47,787 voters. Man, that means in a 4-year time, what they did is they purged the books and they got rid of all of the dead and outdated voters. We went from 62,000 registered voters all the way down to 47,700. Okay. The public count, the total amount of people that voted in this election were 12,414. Now that's back up way higher than what it was in 15, and it's still under what happened in 2011, but this election is now more on par with 2011. Remember, in 2011, we had 60,811 for registered voters, and the total voters on the day was 17,269. In 2019, we have 47,787 registered voters, and the total voters of the day were 12,417. Now, let's look at what happened on the ballot.
What the hell happened to 15,000 voters?
What do you mean?
You went from 62,000 registered voters?
They purged. Basically what happened is, so they had never purged from the time that we had Chevy and Delco and all those people here. So we had a bunch of people on the ballot we had a lot of people who had died or moved out of town.
It just seems like a hell of a lot of people.
It is. Well, Muncie lost. Muncie and Delaware County's population dropped drastically. Muncie went from at one time a population of 85,000 citizens down to under 60. So there's 20. In 20 years, we lost 20,000 people.
Okay. That just seems like a...
I know. It does seem like that. It is, and it's still dropping. It's sad. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I love watching that video of the documentary between the election between Alan Wilson and Big Jim Carrey, just because I like to see Muncie when it was like hopping and bopping. Hell, it looked like New York City. It looked like Chicago, and it was just little old Muncie looking like all that. And that makes me so happy. The loss of our automotive industry was devastating to Muncie. I mean, we could be an absolute on the face of the map for what it looked like for the loss of the automotive industry. It killed us. Hello there, timing issues. Better late than never. Okay, so take the outlier out. All right, so now let's look from 2011 then, when we had 17,279 voters. Let's go to 2019 when we have 12,414 voters. Okay. We have 3 candidates for mayor: Dan Ridenour, Terry Whit Bailey, Steve Smith, which some people will tell you there was a lot of excitement around Ridenour. People telling you the truth will tell you there was not a lot of excitement in this election. Ridenour was the same, very flat affect, no real, hi, I'm Dan Ridenour. I would love your vote. That kind of thing. Okay. Belinda Munson versus Melissa Peckinpah. Dan won, obviously. Belinda won. City Court Judge Amanda Dunnick won. The Republicans apparently don't have any Republican attorneys that want to be City Court Judge. Ralph Smith beat Doug Marshall. Jeff Robinson beat Brandon Murphy, turning Dan Ridenour's District 2, because Dan did the same thing that Jeff just did. Dan was a councilman, and he decided, nope, I'm going to run for mayor. So when he left the seat, that allowed Brandon Murphy and Jeff Robinson to sneak in there. And you can see how that race kicked off. Brandon Murphy had 945 votes to Robinson's 1064. Okay. District 3 saw Libertarian Brantley Spicer, Scott Peloche, Republican, Ray Dudley. Ray Dudley won it, Democrat. District 4 was Monica James, Green Party. No Democrat, of course. And Bradley Cooper. Ha! Bradley Polk. That's the first time that anybody's ever made that slip up. Bradley Polk. And then the at-large was Jerry Dishman with no candidate, because no candidate hardly ever runs against him. District 6 was Anita Davis with no candidate. And then the at-large was, of course, Republicans Aaron Clark, Troy Ingram, and Richard Ivey against Nora, Linda, Watasha. And these three men beat her. Richard Ivey had 5602. Aaron Clark had 5122. And Ingram had 4953. The fourth place vote was Watasha at 4828. The fifth place vote was Linda Gregory at 4471. And Nora Evans Powell went from having the highest vote category in May to being the least elected person in this group. It's amazing. And of course, she wasn't elected. They voted for these three Republicans. All right. So that's 2019. Now look. 47,787 is registered voters in the city of Muncie. Public count is 12,414. Oops. All right, now let's go look at this year. This year, we have almost the same amount of registered voters. We went from 47,787 to 47,741. Okay, so that's not drastic. Public count. We went from 12,414 people voting in that election. Okay. We went from 12,414 in that election to 9,474. So what happened? What happened? Well, something that's really important to look at are the absentee ballots during all of these periods. Look at this. In 2011, 2,794 people cast absentee ballots. That's nearly 3,000. 2,794 people cast absentee ballots. 2794. The next year, 2015, 1,021 did. So it dropped. Okay. The next election cycle, tell you what it was, the next election cycle. Okay. So then in 2019, there were absentee ballots, a total of absentee of 2,572. But just look at the absentee. We'll just look at the absentee. We're on 19. Oops. The absentee, 978. We went from 1021 in 15 2794 in 11. Then in 19, we go down to 987. And then this year, we dropped to 669. You understand what's happening? You see what's going on? The absentee ballots are dropping, and I'm just going to tell you where that is. That generally hits the Democratic side because the Democrats have long been masters of the absentee ballot. Everyone's dying or despairing. The walk-ins have increased, though, a little bit. Yeah, that is true. That is true. The walk-ins have increased. But, all right. So I got to looking at this, comparing these numbers with a friend last night. And we were looking at these, just wondering why. And it comes down to what I said about last night's election, about Jeff. There was just not a lot of people excited about this election. But the biggest question that everybody should be asking is, how do you have a mayor's race? Dan and Jeff, and Jeff loses it. Jeff loses it to Dan. Dan wins by about 500 votes. So the Republican mayor wins. The Republican clerk holds on to her seat. But then what happened in the council race? How does the top of the ticket remain Republican and then lose the seats that they lost in the council? Nora Powell beat Josh Talby. Hell, Green only beat Craig by just a handful of votes. Seriously. 9 people? Are you for real? Brandon Garrett easily beat back Nick Talby. All right. This one was weird. This one's weird, and this one's going to be challenged, I guarantee it. And so we'll have to wait to see what actually happens here. But as of now, Sarah Gullion is the winner. So she is the counselor-elect. Okay. Andrew Pop is beat back, but he's not part of the party, so leave him off to the side. Kyle Temple, party guy, is beat. And then the at-large, Aaron Clark, who kept telling everyone that he was a shoo-in, he's beat. And you have Rose Selvey, who for the first 6 months of the election, her party didn't want to win. And you have Dale Basham. Okay. The council goes from a 5-4 Republican majority to a 6-3 Democrat majority. It's almost like the two Talbys, Clark, Brad, and Kyle, were sacrificed so that Dan could win. So I was here last night. I obviously was not at Republican headquarters, but I have since talked to multiple people that were there. And I asked them, the first thing I asked them was, what was the mood like? What was the mood at Democrat? Well, I asked both people, what was the mood like at Democrat headquarters? What was the mood like at Republican headquarters? Now, I want to ask you all before we get started, for those of you that watch, specifically those of you in Muncie, what do you believe the mood at the Republican headquarters was like? Dan won, but they took a spanking on the council. So is the mood going to be jovial? Or do you think the mood was somber and sad? What do you think? You think the Republicans were worried, Joey? Well, I can tell you this, just on the whole, the Democrats have always had more fun than the Republicans. Just flat out. Win, lose, draw, do it again tomorrow, it does not matter. The Democrats have always had more fun than the Republicans ever. Dan left early. He was sick. That is true. Dan left early. The mood was very weird. I've heard several people say that it was like thick. You could cut the tension with a knife. Normally what they do is they will let the winners get up and talk, and they will then let the losers get up and talk, but they wouldn't do it. Josh Talby didn't even show up. Josh Talby did not show up. I don't know what he did. But when I talked to these Republicans throughout the election, I heard one thing repeatedly. Well, yeah, Troy. You wait, sir, because I'm gonna get to the part that you and I have been saying, and others. We're almost there to that second half of the show. Dan was sick. It was funky. People were like not really knowing what to do. The only person that seemed to be excited was Dale Basham, who, when they gave him the microphone to speak, started singing, "I feel good." And it's like everybody's like, no, knock that off. Nobody here feels like hearing that. But he can't help himself. You're right. Josh didn't show up to campaign much. I heard one phrase over and over and over and over from the Republican Party. I heard these people say we're flying under the radar. We are running this election from the sideline. We are being quiet about this. And every time I heard that, I was like, what? Matter of fact, there were many times I heard it. There were many times that I heard the Republicans say, we're flying under the radar. We're doing this a different way. We're taking a different approach. We're being quiet about things. There were multiple times that I heard that with someone else in the presence with me, so they heard it too. And this person, this confidant of mine, would always say, what are they saying? Why are they saying that? Why are the Republicans not campaigning? Why are they not knocking on doors? This was the weirdest group of people. They are literally afraid of the campaign process. They're afraid of walking up, knocking on the door opening and saying, well, hello, Mr. Jones. I'm Josh Talby. I'm running for District 2 City Councilor, and I'd like to talk to you about why I should be your next city councilor. Sir, I'm a hard worker. I want to do this to I want to work across the aisle with both Republicans and Democrats alike to help make sure that the city is running as fiscally tight as it possibly can, that we are keeping the mayor in checks and balances, that we are not letting things get out of control, that we are bringing in economic development, whatever he wanted to say. But he did not do that. He didn't do that. Now, I told him from the get-go, Nora Powell was going to be hard to beat. That's just the case. But then there was Nick Talby saying the other same thing. Rose Selvey saying, I don't want to interview. I'm just going to do this quietly the last 2 weeks. Why? Why? This election I've not been asleep in 3 days, more or less. This election should have been a cakewalk for Brad Marshall. Should have been a cakewalk. This election let me tell you, let me go down. Jeff Green and Craig. Craig was a first-time candidate, a nobody. Nobody. I'm not saying he's a nobody. I'm just saying Green had the power of being the incumbent, and he did nothing. I've not heard that man say more than 3 words. He didn't campaign, and he just barely beat Steve Craig. I think Steve should look at doing a challenge there. 9 votes can be made up like that during a challenge. What if, ladies and gentlemen, what if Dan Ridenour's team put in place a group of Republican candidates that were lackluster so that their families and their friends would come out and vote for them. Their families, their friends would come out. But not enough to scare the Democrats, to get the Democrats to need to come forward to rally against these district candidates. Because if you do that, then you rally the Democrats to come out and vote for Jeff. Like, listen. Kyle Temple is a good guy. He was a good police officer, a good guy. I respect Kyle for what he's done in life. I have no problems with him. I'm sure he will not like me after what I say. I don't think he likes me because I don't think he liked me being against Nora. I think he was a Nora fan, even though he's a Republican. It's very weird. There is no way in hell that he was going to beat Harold Mason in District 6. There is no way in hell that he was going to beat Harold Mason. But they ran him. They ran this man literally. Look at him in this. The joke of the thumbnail is I didn't even put him in the thumbnail. He's back here hidden. We were going through this and I'm like, who am I forgetting? I was asking my confidant or my helper, and I was like, who are we forgetting? We could not place who we were forgetting. No one even knew this man's name. Hell, his yard signs, folks, didn't even look like political yard signs. His yard signs look like he was advertising a new church coming to town. Up on 12th Street, come to the Kyle Temple. It did not. It was crazy. I don't mean the Republicans. Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just mean Dan Ridenour. And it's not Dan Ridenour. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's 2 separate consulting organizations. We'll talk about this in a minute. The Republicans are not happy with how things turned out. The people that consider themselves Republican Party members are not happy. They kept the mayor, but man, they lost these council seats. And they lost them in a pretty big way. Some of these people are pretty big losses. Nora Powell is a really bad person to let beat you. I want to tell you a story about Brad Marshall. Brad Marshall is down by 5 votes. 5 votes. I talked to somebody today that said, I live in Brad's district. I live in a pretty major thoroughfare. Brad did not come to my door. He did not call me. He did not text me. I didn't get a mailer. He didn't ask me to place a sign in my yard. So I didn't vote for him. Oh yes, she is trash. Don't get me wrong, she is trash. But she's not bad trash. She's sneaky trash. Sneaky. She's conniving. She's not a good person to have on council. Most of the party loyal Republicans lost their seats. I'll get there. It's 2027. But yes. So here's the thing to keep in mind. This guy said, Munson never came to my house. At my house, it's me, my wife, my daughter, my son, and his wife. If he would have knocked on my door, if he would have called me, if he would have talked to me, maybe if he would have appeared on your show or a show like it, maybe I would have voted for him. And if I would have voted for him, I would have told my wife to vote for him. I would have told my son to vote for him. I would have told my daughter to vote for him. I would have told, the husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever to vote for him. And in that case, Brad would have beat Gullion by 1 vote. Do not ever tell yourself that votes do not matter. Your vote does not matter. If Brad would have just contacted this person 1 time, he would be here being talked about as a winner by 1 vote. The Republicans are in a mess. I know that Cory Bory Fink's happy. I know Shireen Wagley's happy. Their boss is saved. Mean Chris Bilbrey, he's so dumb, blah, 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 blah. We don't have to do anything with him. We proved he's a nobody. Yes. Listen, I'm a nobody. What? These people are so laughable. In the exact same breath, they say, don't listen to Kristopher Bilbrey. He is a nobody. He is stupid. He doesn't know anything, doesn't do anything. But then they give me the power to completely change elections. If you go on and talk to him, if you don't, listen, I'm just a guy that likes politics, that has a platform and likes to talk about politics. I like to put out my opinion. Anybody can do this. You don't need a microphone. You don't need a soundboard. You need a cell phone. And you could do it. Anyone could do it. There are people that are happy today because Dan is reelected. I don't know what that re-election is going to look like. Not going to be good. It's going to be all sorts of filled with chaos and craziness. But if he thinks that he's going to have a good go of things with this Democrat council, he is insane. I want to show you guys something real quick. Okay. Now I want to show you this. Absolutely timing issues. Okay, here we go. Why is this not loading, damn it? All right, there we go. Damn, it was taking forever to load. I was like going to fall asleep. Okay, here we go. Not there. It's the one to myself. Come on, man. All right, here we go. Stand by. Why did I send them to him? All right, here we go. I want you to look at this. It's going to be a little hard to see, but I'll read it to you. This is from Cameron Grubbs. I cut the name off. I was trying to get it all in. It's from Cameron Grubbs. Cameron Grubbs says, according to the Manifest Destiny reporter, Ridenhour spent $27,784 with Hathaway Strategies, whose owner is Anne Hathaway, recently named chairman of the Indiana Republican Party, the state party. And another $20,223 to Fall Creek Consulting, campaign manager Matt Organ's firm. Matt Organ used to be with Anne Hathaway. When she became named, he went out on his own. Cameron goes on and says, you mean to tell me that for nearly $50,000, 27,784 plus 2223, for nearly $50,000, the Ridenhour campaign has been putting out terrible graphics and mailers from Hathaway Strategies and Fall Creek Consulting out of Indy, not even local? And he doesn't even have a website? They are the ones who kept running the same false, easily disprovable claims. Compare that to just a handful of the graphics the Jeff Robinson campaign and the Indiana Democratic Party have been putting out, which they used local. Okay? It's pretty clear. So that's important. And here shows you the ads. Here's a Ridenhour ad. Ridenhour ad with false information. Here's the Ridenhour. Here's what his $50,000 gets versus Jeff. Here's something that Jeff put together. There's that. Here's it. Jeff's information just gives so much more information than Dan's. Okay. Cameron goes on to say, this genius financial mind at work, ? Not knowing when he's wasting money, much less $50,000 in bad PR. That tells a lot, folks. It's important to look at every aspect of how a campaign is ran. If a candidate is wasteful with their money, they're going to be wasteful with your money. If they're not talking, if they're putting out bad ideas, if they're standoffish or rude, that's how they're going to behave once elected. Keep that in mind. Okay? I have another little snippet I want you to hear from other media. Give me a second. Let me get there. Okay. This is also from the Manifest Destiny Reporter, and I think that this is from Rick Yinzer, and I think that this is a good accounting of what happened. Republican Mayor Dan Ridenhour won re-election Tuesday by a narrow margin against Democrat Jeff Robinson, president of the Muncie City Council. Voters elected a more diverse Democratic council that will have a 6-3 majority with 2 white women, 2 black men, and 2 white men. To close the mayor's race, start over. Voters elected a more diverse Democratic council that will have a 6-3 majority with 2 white women, 2 black men, and 2 white men. That close mayor's race, decided by less than 500 votes, had Ridenhour getting 4689 to Robinson's 4194. Only about 19.5% of the city's 47,741 registered voters participated, with a higher turnout in the north and west neighborhoods and fewer voting east and south. And if you live in Muncie, that tells you a story. It tells a story. Republican margins that right now are built up in Halteman and Vanna Woods neighborhoods, besides Kenmore and Gatewood, also were won by Democratic women running for council. So here we're seeing Democrats winning in neighborhoods, where the Republican mayor won. That's interesting. Former Democratic council member Nora Powell trounced Republican Josh Talby 1,001 votes to 710 in District 2. Newcomer Sarah Gullion, a Democrat, beat Republican incumbent Brad Marshall by 5 votes, 1195 to 1190 in District 4. Ridenour knew the election was close while he was roaming around the voting polls on Tuesday. While Robinson was confident at the United Party organization, a United Party organization would get him and other Democrats elected. While the mayor was pleased with the outcome, Robinson was disappointed by his loss. Ridenour pledged to work with the new council, which he has not done lately. Robinson believed the new council would serve with integrity and ethics. Longtime council Democrat Jerry Dishman was reelected to his District 5 seat in North Muncie, beating Republican Andrew Popp 419 to 318, and Democrat incumbent Brad Garrett won over Republican Brandon Garrett, won over Republican Nick Talby 791 to 695 in District 3. That includes Thomas Park, Avondale, and Forest Park. Democrat Harold Mason won a contested primary in May and easily beat Republican Kyle Temple 898 to 382 in District 6. That includes Industry and Whiteley. Republican incumbent Jeff Green won by 9 votes over Democrat Steve Craig 575 to 566 in District 1. That includes South Muncie. At-large council seats, At-large council seats were won by an incumbent Republican Rose Selvey, fellow Republican Dale Basham, and Democratic candidate William McIntosh. Selvey is the only woman now on the council. Republicans on this council currently. That will change in January. Republican City Clerk Belinda Munson won re-election in a close race with Democrat Norma Norman by a 45-64 to 42-06 margin, and Democratic City Court Judge Amanda Dunnick was unopposed. So he says here in the end, the final vote tabulation will be certified by the county election board in 10 days. Elsewhere in Indiana, voters re-elected Democratic mayors in Anderson, Indianapolis, and Fort Wayne, while electing a new Democratic mayors in West Lafayette, Terre Haute, and Evansville, where the first black woman was elected, Rick Yenser. I just think that those points are very interesting to look at. And I want you to keep those things in mind as we get ready to look here at the end, as we're getting ready to wrap this up. I want you to look at what the Republican Party is now faced with. Everything that's happened as we get ready to pack this election away and we get ready to start into the next election and go with the government that we have, and we go through the normal day-to-day operation of watching the government and keeping an eye on them and keeping them in check, or trying to, and keeping citizens in tune. I want you to listen to what the Republican Party is faced with. I don't consider them as incumbents as well. Amazing how they're talking about a diverse council and leave out the only woman of color. Even Manifest Destiny left out Roe. Oh, I guess that's true. Oh wow, that is true. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that at all. That's interesting. And listen, I'm not even talking, Joey, about money. I don't even talk about. I don't. Jeff didn't need money to be. Look, you to run for mayor, you need money. You need to be able to fundraise. There's no question. You need to be able to do mailers. You need to be able to do things like that. You need to be able to do ads and radio ads, newspaper ads. But you've got to be willing to talk anywhere and everywhere that you can. You got to be willing to get your voice and your face out there. There is no reason why Jeff Robinson was not doing press conferences at every disaster delayed plan that Ridenhour has done. He should have been doing a press conference in front of Southway. He should have been doing a press conference in front of Workman's. He should have been doing a press conference out there at the scene of the shooting. He should have been doing a press conference from the weeds out at Michael's place at Till Pond. He should have been doing a press conference from YMCA. He should have been doing a press conference from the fire department. But we are where we are. We are where we're at. We're here. Jeff needed people to get out and vote. So sad the turnout we had. That's the other thing. There was not a fire lit behind these voters. And that's why I think that these Republican candidates, like the Talbys, like Brad Marshall, like Kyle Temple, like Marwin Strong in the primary. Think about why they were taking him on. Were they serious? Were they serious about backing him? If not, it was really gross what they were doing. If not, what they did by having him sign up and by what they were going to do is very nasty. Joey Temple. The turnout is comparable, honestly. Actually, I was kind of impressed. Look. Oh. Leaving out Roe was explained. Okay. I didn't look at the comments. I just snagged the official
They were just talking about the diversity of the Democrat candidates in that, because they only mentioned 6 people.
Okay.
Two white women, 2 black men, 2 white men, the diversity of the Democrat candidates, not the council as a whole.
They weren't talking. Okay. I get it. That makes sense. So, because I said that when I said those numbers, I tripped over that because I was like, I thought, wait a minute, that's not enough people. 2 and 2 and 2 is we're missing somebody here. So, a couple somebodies. So that's okay. I'm glad you guys pointed that out. All right. Let me share this last part with you here. And you guys will see where we are. We're going to end here. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do this so that you guys can actually see it. Stand by. Am I sharing this? I'm not sharing. I can do this way so you guys can actually see it. See here. Oh my God. Did they remove it? I've got it copied, but I'm going to be awfully pissed off if they remove this. Stand by. Okay, they didn't. Oh, good. Oh, good. Goody, 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 goody. We have even more bizarro comments here. Stand by. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to see this. This is a post by Delaware County Councilor. Now, remember, this is not Muncie City Councilor. This is Delaware County Councilor Ryan Webb. All right. Love him, hate him. I don't care about him. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about what he says or does. This is just a look at the Republican Party, and it's a look at what people other than Ryan are saying about the party. And there's a reason. We'll get there. All right. Listen. Now that the Republican Party has lost control of the city council, including a seat that was held by a Republican for decades, I am hoping that the leadership of the Republican Party will realize that the division within the party that the Central Committee insists upon is negatively affecting the party. So what he's saying there is he's wanting the party, the Republican Party as a whole, to realize that the people at the very top are creating division and it's negatively affecting the party. And listen, he's right. The people at the top of that party food chain are creating division. They do not welcome in new growth. They do not welcome in people with other ideas that might be Republican or conservative but have differing opinions. There is no room for that as far as they're concerned. As proof that the party leadership is who insists on continuing division, I, Ryan Webb, offer my second email that I sent to the party leaders seeking unity. It was ignored. Now, I need to clear this up for the record. The Delaware County Republican Party was led for a number of years by a man called Victor Whitehead. Victor Whitehead was a horrible leader, and it was very similar to how it is now. Not July of 2023, but July of 2022, Victor stepped down. Right around my birthday. For my birthday, Victor stepped down, and I was so happy. 4 or 5 days after he stepped down, it was decided that Ed Carroll would be the new party chairman, and his vice president would be Jessica Piper. And as soon as those names were picked, I was like, oh my God, it went from bad to worse. Instantly, I was like, can we get Victor Whitehead back? Ryan Webb was outside of the party at this point. Ryan reached out to Victor, or to Ed and to Jessica, and he said, can we have a sit down? And both of those people in July, because July is right as the election period starting to kick off for that 2022 election cycle, they said, we have a lot of stuff to do as new people. We have a campaign for elections coming up. Can we get together after the first of the year? Ryan said yes. And in talks with him, he told me, I'm going to let it ride. And then after the first of the year, I'm going to get in contact with him. And I'm going to say, look, it's been a year. What's the deal? This letter that you're getting ready to hear and read is the second attempt where he had reached out. The first time he reached out and they said, get a hold of us after the first of the year. Then he reached out and he was like, can we meet? And they blew him off. This is the email that he then sent. Letter to Republican Party to the Delaware County Republican leadership. I hope this message is received with an open heart and open mind. My name is Ryan Webb, and I'm currently an elected member of the Delaware County Council. I am also a Republican. However, from the moment I filed my candidacy, I have been boycotted and shunned from the local Republican Party, and I would like to officially know why. The former Republican chairman, Victor Whitehead, decided on his own merit that I was not welcome in the local Republican Party. He did this for no other reason than besides the fact that I did not ask his permission to run for office in 2020. I did give him a courtesy call to let him know my intentions were to seek office. During that call, he declined to grant me permission to run for office. I wasn't asking permission. I was giving him a common courtesy phone as, in my opinion, like, that's good of him, okay? He was giving him a courtesy call, but you don't need to ask for permission. A lot of people, like to tell them, but if he had the requirements under his belt to run as a Republican, he did not need them to sign off. Because of my defiance to his wishes, I was immediately labeled as not welcomed in the Republican Party, and my status has remained as such since that day in 2020. Other than not following orders of the party chairman, there is absolutely no other reason to not accept me into the party. Nobody from the party has ever officially told me that I am not welcome in the party. I have never been given an official reason for why I am not welcome. Instead, underhanded tactics to attempt to undermine me quietly have been all too common. I have been blocked from the official Delaware County Republican Party page. I cannot comment or see any news regarding important information that is afforded to other local Republicans. I am not listed anywhere on the website, even though I am a duly elected Republican office holder. I am never invited to Republican functions that other Republicans and even Democrats are invited to. In fact, I have been banned and forbidden from attending the important Republican functions, such as the Lincoln Day dinner, and not permitted to stand in the Republican tent at the Delaware County Fairground. Just weeks after the new administration, Ed Carroll as chairman and Jessica Piper as vice chair took over the party, I reached out to discuss my standing in the party. I was told it was a busy time and to wait patiently for everyone to get up to speed, and that we would talk back. We address this situation soon. Wait a minute. I was told it was a busy time and to wait patiently for everyone to get up to speed, and that we would address this situation. That was in July 2022, and it's now March of 2023. I have yet to hear a word back from them. As of today, March 19th, 2023, I am officially requesting a formal declaration of exactly why I am considered as not welcomed within the party. I would like to know what infractions have led to this decision. I also am requesting an official statement as to how long this status is to remain, the official position of the party. In addition to that, I am requesting what actions are required for the Republican Party to no longer consider me not in good standing. What do I need to change my status within the party? Finally, if the party cannot articulate an actual instance or specific reason that has led to me being ostracized by the party these last 2.5 years, then I am asking to immediately be considered a Republican with the same status and standing as every other local Republican who is included and embraced by the party. I am asking to receive the same invites and notifications for important events as every other local Republican receives. I am asking to be unblocked from the party Facebook page, as well as to be recognized as an elected official on the party website. I am officially asking for a face-to-face sit-down with the party leadership to either tell me to my face why I am not welcome, or to work this out so we can all move forward united together. I have heard several prominent Republicans repeat the same desire over the last 8 months, and that is for the Republican Party to be united as one and to include everyone who is a Republican and shares Republican values. You cannot continue to repeat that mantra with a straight face and continue to blackball me, along with others, Troy Ingram and others, as an elected Republican. We can continue down this path as adversaries. However, I don't see that being very beneficial for everyone involved. I'd prefer to let bygones be bygones and move forward with a clean slate, and let's try to put the past behind us. You can continue to extend the former chairperson's personal vendetta, or you can decide to put those old differences aside and lead the party into the future with a united front and void of the division that is currently bringing such a negative attention and consequences to the party. There is no reason to continue with this adversarial relationship because the former chairman had a personal grudge against me. He is not here anymore, but you and I are here, and we can continue the status quo or try to move forward together as allies and on the same page. The party suffers when we are not all united together. I am fully expecting to hear from you to schedule a sit down to discuss this issue. Either give me an official reason as to why I am not welcome, along with a clear plan on how to rectify this issue, or immediately drop all hostilities towards me and welcome me in with the same enthusiasm and positive energy that every other Republican receives. One way or the other, I am asking for an official position from the party regarding my official status within the party, along with reasons for why. I'm looking forward to hearing back from you soon. The ball is in your court. Thank you, Ryan Webb. Now, I am not reading that because you need to hear like what he thinks or whatever. I just want you to know where we stand. So he wrote that back on March 19th of 2023. He shared that today. Okay? He shared that today on this status. I want you to hear. Before we go on, I want to read a comment to you by some of these same people that you're going to be hearing from. A man that doesn't even live in Delaware County anymore, who lives in Florida, said, "We sent Bilbrey and his cohorts packing. Bilbrey's Kiss of Death Tour 2023. Bilbrey's Kiss of Death Tour 2023. Candidates who refused to be interviewed by Bilbrey: Ridenauer, Munson, Dunnick, Green, Powell, Golian, Selvey, Basham, McIntosh, 1. Candidates who accepted the interview by Bilbrey: Robinson, Barber, Pop, Craig, Yipe, Norman, lost. We have decidedly proven that Bilbrey's vitriol and rude behavior and political nonsense is not going to be tolerated in Delaware County any further. Bilbrey and his followers have been sent packing. Bilbrey will no longer be a voice in Delaware County politics for much longer, or going into the new election or new year." This kind of nonsense is ridiculous because, like, first of all, he didn't tag me in this. Okay? He commented this on a page that I am blocked from seeing. They're afraid to tell me. He won't come on my wall and tell me this. He comments this in a page that I am blocked from seeing, that I cannot have access to unless someone shares it to me, which obviously they did. And like 3 people interact with him. Yes, you're not supposed to watch. I was supposed to have sold this microphone today. I was supposed to have got rid of my board. I didn't. I'm in trouble. I don't know what's going to happen next. Kate's out without a job. Brandon's without a job. We're all still... I don't know what you guys are doing here listening. None of you are supposed to be here. We're all done. Shut off the lights. All right, this is it. Someone asked me if that bothered me, and I said, no, hell no, it doesn't bother me. That man does not even live in Delaware County. He lives in Florida. What a worthless life he must be living. If it's 30 degrees up here and blustery and cold, and he's down on the warm beaches of Florida, and he's so violently texting with his fat thumbs about Bilbrey. Now, I've always said to these people, which is it, guys? I am either not important or I am very important. Listen to me. I'm not a sports guy. I'm not a sports guy. There has to be some sports fans in here. I know I'm going to get flogged for saying this, definitely. I know that the WWF's is not really a sport. It's theater for men. But you know those Jerry the King Lawler and JR? He looks like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. You know? Do those people... Joey Simpson, I knew you were gonna do it. They've already started, Darla. I got my first call today. What the hell? My gas bill just went up. Double. Damn you, Bilbrey. I need to talk to you sometime. I'll text you sometime about WWF and my deal with WWF, Joey. It's hilarious. I'll tell you all about it. It'll be great. Just let you know, my junior year in high school, I dressed up as Gold Dust and crawled across the gym floor towards my gym teacher, and it was a big spectacle. I'll let you know all about it. There's plenty more to tell other than that, but I'll keep you posted. We all know that when you listen to your favorite football game or your favorite basketball game, that the color commentators, because of what they're saying, what they're doing, they are not changing the outcome of the game. It is my hope and dream not to become famous, not to go outside and people know me and run me down, call me all hours of the day. Oh, drama queen. I'm a Leo, man. I'm a Leo. It's all part of it. I'm 100%. That's all you needed to know is I'm a Leo. Color commentators and announcers don't change the score of the football game. Glenn Beck has an audience and people listen to him. And people do what he says to a certain extent on some things, but he is not going to say, okay, you people vote for person X, and the whole country is going to vote for person X, and it's all going to be saved. Hell, the whole big person involved, the biggest voice of them all, Rush Limbaugh. He did not make or break elections. He was a pivotal voice and he played a role, but you can play that same role. You can play that same role from your house, from your Facebook page. Anybody can create a YouTube page. These people are going to have to either get it through their thick skulls that I am somebody or I am nobody. Mike Jones says, I think Bilbrey thinks that he is the end all be all. Blotto is nothing. Look like the people that interviewed with you, one in Henry County. Seems as if you were conjuring. Yeah, well, that's one thing, Mary. First and foremost. First of all, these people are too small-brained to look past their own. They believe that the universe ends and begins in Muncie and Delaware County. The sun goes around Muncie, and that's what it is. They don't realize that there's a whole other big world out there. I interviewed 19 candidates, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. Some won, some lost. Some were incumbents, some were challengers. All over the board, there were winners and losers. Haters make you famous. Listen, I hate the interviews. It's a hard thing to have to deal with. I probably won't ever do them again. Here's what's very important for you guys to understand. What you're getting ready to read is nuts because I'm hated. Well, I'm having a hard time getting it up here. Listen to this. Troy Tackett. First of all, let me say this. I agree with what Ryan is saying in his letter. I agree that division is killing the Republican Party. The Republican leadership is a lot to blame for that. And the Republicans need to get that under control. All right. So I agree with that from that standpoint. Troy Tackett says, I agree 100%, Ryan. That something needs to be done with the Republican Party as a whole. And yes, it needs to absolutely start from almost non-existent top of the food chain, Ed Carroll and Jessica Piper. These people are almost unknown, and something needs to be done, as clearly we can see from this election. Oh, snap. Troy's not happy with the election results, and he thinks that these people need to be kicked out. I'm really confused by this. Yeah, big man. I'm really confused. I've said that exact line. I don't understand. Is he going to get blocked from this? I've said that exact line that Troy's saying right there. Let's go on. We also need to know why the county and the city does not work together as one cohesive unit. Is there one Upsman game going on there? Are you all not 100% true Republicans? Why are we not seeing these entities working together on these elections? I've said that line. He then goes on and says, your comment about not being at the fairground is not actually true, as you were there with Ingram and Pop getting bottles of water and whatnot. So apparently that was your decision to not stay and participate, or were you actually asked to leave? We just need to come together as a unified party and show the community that it is a good thing to be a Republican, and to stop the in-house bickering and start working together to better our stance in this community and our party. So some of that I take issue with, but for the majority, like, that's could be a Bilbrey post, more or less. But yet it's Troy Tackett. That's weird. Deborah King Eichels. Yes, yes, yes. The party is undergoing great change, and our local GOP should be open to growing and demystifying the old and outdated political stereotypes. All right, I've basically said that before. Is she going to be booted from this page? Ryan Webb says, Troy, you were wrong. I stood in front of the tent because I was not permitted inside the tent. Also, Ingram and Pop were never there. And yes, party leadership, Nick, did tell me I wasn't welcome there when I stopped in. These are absolute facts, and I have no reason to lie about them. Troy says, Nick? Question mark. Obvious you aren't as in tune with the party if you don't know who Nick is. He's part of the Central Committee. I'm just wanting his last name. Do you know it? Wait a minute, Troy. I thought you were a big power player in the Republican Party. You don't know Nick's last name? Why do you not know Nick's last name, sir? I agree with Ryan here.
That was actually a good slip of the tongue, calling him Lick instead of Nick, because we know what he spends his time doing.
I know, that was good. I thought the same thing. I just went on. I'm glad you called that out. I'm just wanting his last name. Do you know it? And no, these people are not whom I associate with on a daily basis. LOL. Okay, well, at least we know that. It's Papandapria. Papandapria. Nobody knows how to spell or say it. I always call him Papa Ding Dong, but I don't know what it really is. Troy says, didn't he resign? Ryan says, no, he's still very much there. Chris Hyatt says, the local Republican Party has always been like that for as long as I can remember. In reality, they're no different or better than 214 North Walnut Street. Save and except they don't have the art nearly as refined as 214. Hell, I've been saying that for years. Troy Tackett says they are clearly not on top of their game as 214 is because they stick together. I don't really know what that means. It's weird. What do you mean they stick together? You don't see them in-house fighting and not working together. It's insane that a mayor as qualified as Dan is one against as qualified as Dan is one against a non-qualified opponent by only 500 votes, clearly due to the workmanship of the Democrats. Or the fact that Ridenour kept saying he was running against Tyler, and Ridenour doesn't have anything to offer anybody. We just didn't have an excited Democratic outlier of community members. The base was excited about Robinson, but the community wasn't as jazzed up. We clearly need to come together as Republicans and put a stop to this party nonsense. It's almost 2024, not 1964. What does that have to do with anything? Out with the old and in with the new and much improved version. Rick Spangler, you need to take this party and take it where it needs to be. What? Out with the old and in with the new? Rick Spangler's not the new. Are you kidding me? Then Fran Tucker has to come in. The Democrat Party is the same. I've seen Dunnick tossed to the side and replaced with one of the Quirk sisters for the judge's position. I've seen 214 Dems isolate Team Democrat who actually beat out the 2014 candidates, so it's not very different. Brooks was tossed to the Wolves to keep him off the ballot, and they had a lady named Bilbrey. No relation. That's Bev Bilbrey, and I am not related to her. Put on the primary ballot to steal votes from Brooke. No relation to Bilbrey. Oh, look here. My friend even said this. No relation to Bilbrey Big Mouth. Thank you, Franny. Thank you very much. Look, why would she even go through the trouble of saying that? Why wouldn't she just make people think that? Look what they did to Linda Gregory. Why does Fran Tucker care what they did to Linda Gregory? Sharon McShirley never received much support when she was mayor.
Didn't Linda Gregory do that to herself by opening her fat mouth and making a racist comment?
Mm-hmm.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory did that to herself. Nobody else did that to her.
Absolutely. They made her say monkeys in the park. Ridiculous. McShirley received, oh, Mary, you would have loved that. Are you here, Mary? Dude, I don't know, Annie. I have no clue. This dude is nuts. He's not really around. He's on permanent vacation. Remind me to tell you about Linda Gregory, referring to a park where a majority of Muncie's up-and-coming younger Black community goes to play ball and hang out. It's a beautiful park here in Muncie. And back a long time ago in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, we had bears and tigers and lions and monkeys in the park. And this woman, as a council member, said something to the effect of, the park is not much different today than it was back then when there was a guy that worked there, because there was a guy there that used to clean the monkey cages. She was like, there was monkeys in the park today, just the same as there was then. Remind me to tell you about that in group later. But then here we see that the Democrats did that to her somehow. The Democrats made Linda Gregory say that. No one showed at the meetings to give her support. So let's just be honest and know that there is division among both parties. See how butthurt they get? The problem here, Fran Tucker, is you can't stand anybody saying anything about your precious Republicans. Because if someone says anything about the precious Republicans, we got to say, quick, to the Tyler Mobile. Everybody, we're going to Muncie to tell them Dennis Tyler's coming. Hide your kids, hide your wife. Put up your $5,000. They're going to be running against Dennis Tyler for the next 100 years. Both parties have division for a long time. Hey, the whole world is divided. This country is divided. So there's a big problem, and I have no idea how to mend it. I like Ryan Webb, but I wish he would cut ties with Bilbrey. What ties does Ryan have to me? We're not tied? You mean to tell me because we have the same thoughts? Doesn't that mean if you like Ryan's thoughts, Fran, doesn't it just stand to reason that you might also mean you like my thoughts? Look, we were friends for 10 years. You never had a problem with anything I thought then. The first time you had a problem with me is when I call out Dan Ridenhour. What does that man have on you? What were you saying? Where did you go?
I'm still here. You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. Sorry,
The division that happened in the Democrat Party started when they started the investigation on Tyler. Mm-hmm. And that separation was just everyone pushing each other out of the way to get out of the line of fire and disassociate from Tyler as much as humanly possible.
Well,
and then after that cleared up, they came back together, kind of reformulated. They've been working together very well.
Wow.
But I don't think that separation was, I think a lot of it was reactionary to the Tyler situation here recently.
I kind of disagree with that.
With me, but
I disagree with that
from outside.
Sure.
That's the way I saw it, but please tell me
I get that. No, I disagree with that just for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's been like a team Democrat going on for a long time, and that was well before the Tyler thing. Like Linda Gregory was part of these Blue Dog Democrats. That was a whole nother thing for a long time. So there's been some division for a long time, but it wasn't really a Tyler thing. It was moreover, it was a Phil Nichols thing that Tyler was like attached to. Phil Nichols got over on Tyler. Tyler then got it. He got in the end, and he was cut off. See, that's the whole thing with Nora Powell. When Nora Powell in 2019 was running, she was making everybody believe that she cut ties with the evil Democrats, meaning Phil Nichols and Dennis Tyler, where in reality what had happened was the Democrats and Tyler severed ties. Nora was still buddy-buddy with Phil Tyler. Dennis was the odd man out, and then she was running game doing that. And so that was what that was. But Fran Tucker doesn't want to admit that. The Republicans don't want to admit that. And look, I'll say this. There were a group of people that met with Jeff Robinson before he decided to run. And they were trying to say, we really don't know if you should run. Maybe you should stay in your position. And Jeff's crew were very pretty adamant about, and Jeff has said this in the campaign, so I'm not telling anything that's out of school or anything, because he said this in the campaign. He wanted to distance himself from Tyler. And there were literally people that were upset by that because they thought that Tyler had some good thoughts to offer. He can't be in politics. He can't run for office, blah, 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 blah. But, the fact that you've got Jeff running and he's just completely discounting, or at least they thought that because of things that he had said, all these people that worked around him and their ideas and their experience, people were upset about that. That's why it's so funny to me when I hear people say, oh, Jeff and Tyler are tied at the hip. That's not true. That is not true at all. Yeah, Mary. Ask me that. I'll talk to you about that in group. It'll blow your mind. Annie, you know who that is. What's funny is timing issues and Annie's know who everyone is. What's a complete lie, Annie? No, hold on. Don't give a hint here. I can do this real easily. Hold on. You guys are friends. Yeah, it is. That is a lie. That Jeff and Tyler are good or were good buddies. That's not true. Are you kidding me, Annie? I knew you guys knew each other. That's nuts. That's insane. All right, going on here. McShirley, okay. To me, I don't always like or agree with what Ryan says, but he has some valid points on many issues. When it comes to a Rhino or Webb, I would take Webb. Well, because first of all, Webb is definitely not a Rhino. A Rhino, a Republican name only. That's a stupid word. It's Republicans. The Republicans are a bunch of losers who left the core belief. The bottom line, we are all made in the image of God, except for Big Mouth Bilbrey. I'm done with my soapbox diatribe for now. I've worked in a government office for 3 or 4 years. I was a D, and the office was mostly ours. But when push came to shove, we all worked together, especially when they were all being recalled. Boy, were they all working as a team. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Then Troy says, I absolutely agree, Fran. I'm just frustrated with the party heads as they should be doing way more. But anything is better than nothing. You should run for Carol's position as chairhead. No way I would be the chair of anything. Been there, done that. No, you've not. You've not been the chair of anything. Not so much in politics, but the same thing. We need a former general. I know, Troy. Now listen to this. I don't agree that it was lost entirely due to party problems. Much of the issues were born from the amount of sheer... listen to this. Listen to this lady. From the other... she's blaming the fact that they ran Josh Talby against Nora Powell. And she thinks that means that the other part that I mean, look, I don't like Nora Powell, but I know that you can't run Josh Talby against her. I told him you cannot beat her. We need to get together as conservatives. This is a national issue. Too many times where we conservatives wait until we have to take the defense. These radical leftists are always pushing agendas and working to undermine everything. A vote for a Rhino is a liberal vote. I agree with you, Ryan Webb, County Councilman, and appreciate your stance for conservative values, your straightforwardness, your honesty, and your heart for the people of the community. I've personally seen you help others in the community. Yada da da da. Mike Jones. Okay. Listen, everybody on this page was agreeing with Ryan, but now we get Mike Jones. Now keep in mind, Mike Jones is currently a Republican, but he spent 40-some years as a Democrat. If you cannot understand why your status within the party, councilperson Webb, you wouldn't understand if someone tried to explain it to you. Look in the mirror. In this instant case, it's because of your own actions. Your weak attempt at endearing yourself to the leadership of to bolden your candidacy for commissioner is obvious. I told you long ago, both party leadership have long memories. Who are you? Who are you, Mike? That's what I don't understand. Okay, now I want to get to this next part. This says a house divided against itself cannot stand. Okay, look at some of these comments. Mitch Isaacs, as I've told you privately to Amber Green, I appreciate your perspective you bring to this page and other corners of the internet. Thank you for focusing on what matters and leaving the other stuff behind. Okay, thank you, she says. Troy Tackett says, and what makes you think it's a house divided? I will leave this right here. Well, wait a minute. Were you not just saying that it was a house divided in the last comment, Troy? Troy, look at the post in this group. Look at the results. Ask anyone other than your echo chamber. The local Republican Party was not a unified front during this election cycle. And unfortunately for the candidates in the community, the results showed that. Are they ever unified? Did you not just read Ryan Webb's post on this page? Do you think we don't know that? Well, why did you ask it then, dumbass? What makes you did you just want her answer? Because you're telling her to read that Ryan post. We are actually just discussing the same issue in our group meeting. What? What group meeting are you talking about? What group? Who are you meeting with? But if we had real Republicans, let me tell you who a real Republican is. I'm a real Republican. I know that freaks you the hell out. That we're proud to speak up and speak out willingly to support the party 100% and not when it's convenient, just at election time, then maybe the party would continue to be unified. I don't speak like I'm 50% Republican and could easily be flipped as most that chirp out are. So if you want to see a unified party, then get up and do something about it. Speak out against the chairheads. She's done that. Let your displeasure of the Republican leadership be known. She's done that. Ask Ed Carroll and Piper where they are on these matters. She's done that. Until I see you shouting that to the top of your lungs, then we'll run our little echo chamber and you know where the door is if you don't like the topics. And that's always their answer on everything. Keep in mind, this is an uncensored page. Republicans need to stop bashing other Republicans. Listen to me now. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Republicans need to stop bashing other Republicans? I thought that you wanted Republican Amber Green to ask Republican Ed Carroll and Republican Piper where they were on these matters and shouting from the rooftops that you've got issues and displeasures in the Republican leadership. You're not even staying in the same line of thought from 1 minute to the next. He posted this at 10:01 a.m. today. He posted this at 10:04 a.m. today. So in a 3-minute window, he went from speak out against these Republicans to we need to stop bashing other Republicans. That's the problem. Get out and be a help to your party instead of a hindrance. Just because some Democrats won the council doesn't mean it's the end of moving forward with our city. It takes work on both sides. What's that mean? The Democrats and the Republicans? It will never be completely Republican-controlled city, so apparently we have to deal with it now, don't we? What does that mean? Are you saying you know the party's not unified, yet I've not seen nothing from you about the party leadership as you just suggested real Republicans would speak out about? I'm not naive enough to believe that two individuals can create or destroy a party unity. It takes a community, and contrary to your belief, an echo chamber of the same 24 people is not a community. Sticking in the same realm of conformability will not foster change, and I would venture to guess that you're smart enough to know that, but not willing enough to be uncomfortable, which is why you stick to these groups. It's interesting that you're complaining that I don't like the topic while also commenting on my post. We need to figure out what is going on with the leadership at the Republican headquarters. Wait a minute. 10-12. We need to figure out what's going on with the Republican leadership at the Republican headquarters. But right here, he's saying we need to stop bashing Republicans. But right here, he's saying we need to show displeasure. Are these people legitimately, like, is he cycling between different personalities? I could have written any one of these posts. Isn't it a Republican-controlled city right now? Oh, shit. There it is. It is a Republican-controlled city right now. What do you know? What do you know, Yoko? That's really strange. A break from smiling emojis. What a joke, folks. I'm just telling you what you've witnessed. A lot of people don't know. A lot of you, because I am new to YouTube. I've only been here a year. A lot of you don't know, because you've heard me be in this weird echo chamber of my own where I'm talking about a lot of Democratic candidates. I am a conservative believer. I'm a player within the conservative movement. But I am a true conservative. I'm maybe what you would call a classic liberal, in the sense that I am fiscally conservative. I'm socially liberal. Ask me what my belief on abortion is, and I'll let you know what me and my possible future wife or girlfriend or whatever decide if we're ever in that situation, or a daughter or someone that faces. Until then, look, I ain't making the decision. If I can say, I don't want the jab, my body, my say, then I'm going to let everybody else have that same ability. Do I like abortions? Do I want to hurt babies or whatever? No. But am I going to, do I feel like I got a right to say that to anybody? Hey, my dad told me long ago, probably the best advice that anyone has ever told anyone ever in the history of ever. He said, you can do whatever you want as long as you're willing to pay the consequences. Period. So I can float amongst the Democrats and the Republicans, and I can be friends with liberals and conservatives, and I cannot like what Joe Biden is doing, and I cannot like what Donald Trump is doing, and I cannot like Eric Holcomb, and I cannot like a lot of the other Democrat folks that are leading the national government, and still not like a hell of a lot of the Republicans. And I can certainly not like almost all of the Republican state leadership, and still not want Democrats in control. I can still be disappointed with everybody and want better for what we've got going on. because I know that there are better voices out there. You guys are those better voices. The people that don't know. 4 years ago, Amber wasn't involved in politics. She's evolving. She's changing. She's getting better with it all the time. I know that there are people in here. I'm friends with Charlize Jameson. I know her and Ryan have a big problem with each other. I don't have a problem with Charlize. I don't have a problem with Ryan. I don't like how they have treated each other, and I wish I could broker understanding between that. But that seems to be above my pay grade. So you know what I do? I go on living my life the way that I can, and I treat all of these humans the way that I feel that I should, the way that I feel that my creator wants me to, the way that I feel that I should within my life, what's good with my family and my friends and my loved ones and you people. What do I mean by you people? I mean you people. What is politics? It's a bunch of bullshit, honestly. Too many people have lost that way of thinking. And the problem is all of those people on that other side, Annie said the next 4 years are going to be fun. I'm going to leave it with that. We're going to kill tonight. The next 4 years are going to be fun. Too many people have lost that way of thinking. And those idiots over there arguing that and thinking that because some people lost elections that talk to me, listen to me. Does that mean, seriously, do you think if Dan Ridenour would have interviewed with me, Shireen Wagley would have said, "That's it, Dan, I'm not voting for you"? Moreover, the Republicans that did win, the three of them, Basham, Rowe, who's the other one? Green don't count. Green don't count. He's no count. The two other Republicans that really won, Basham and Rowe, Basham was just a cherry on the top. They didn't want Rowe to win. Face it. Let's face it. Face the facts. They did not want Rowe to. They did not want Rowe to win. They'll take it. But Basham was the cherry on top. All they cared about was Ridenour winning. And that's not party politics. When you forsake everybody else for yourself. Next 4 years is going to be fun, people. And I hope you're along for the ride. And I hope that you help share the shit out of this show. I hope that you're helping bring people to it. We need to increase our reach here. We need to increase the voice. We need to get it out. I promise you, I'm going to do what I can to work on improving. We're going to work on bringing you better content, quicker content, and more static videos. The election is over now. Brandon and I are going to start working on things. You bet the Republican leadership will be coveting Roe. Now, you want me to tell you something, Troy? I think, though, that what I've heard from Roe is Roe, after last night, is now back at being mad at the Republican Party. So, the Republican Party wanted her gone, didn't want her, wanted to run District 3, didn't want her in at large, then didn't help her for nearly the first 7 months. Then they gave her a glimmer of hope with this firehouse thing, and she took it, and she took all the bait, and she was mean to me, and she wouldn't interview with you guys or for you guys, and she did all that, and they were like, "Yay, rah, Roe, you did the right thing." So they let her back in long enough to then be rude to her again, and she then realized, wait a minute, they're not really my friends? Oh, snap. Let me tell you, the only Republican, the only candidate that I know that's acted as a true conservative on the city council in the last 4 years, not been the only true conservative, liberty-minded, good government official that Muncie's had in the last 4 years has been Troy Ingram. I'm not talking about the county. I'm just talking about city. Troy Ingram. And they did everything they could to boot him off there. Now, granted, some mistakes were made, but they were bullshit mistakes. And that gave them just enough. Finally, we've got him. And I'm telling you, Ridenhour screwed up. He should have been making deals with Troy. He should have been working together. He should have been fostering relationship and working with his 5-4 council. Now he's got a 6-3 Democrat-led council with Nora Powell. The next 4 years are going to be amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's Wednesday. We didn't even get into the county. We didn't get into the Board of Works. Tomorrow we will have a more structured show. I just needed to get this stuff off my chest. I needed to get all of the election stuff out. I am done talking about the election now. Tomorrow, in earnest, episode 76, we start focusing on the county, and we will talk about Board of Works and more things there. I also am going to, I promise you, I keep saying this, I'm going to have some Sproles news real soon. It is coming up. So be on the lookout for news from current day-to-day City of Muncie activity. Be on the lookout for news from Delaware County. And when I say news, I mean commentary. Be on the lookout for news from Henry County. From Sproles. Be on the lookout for news from Madison County, and keep watching because we're going to have a lot from Winchester coming up too. Folks, it's getting ready to get wild and crazy, and I want you to be here for that. Good night. God bless. Until tomorrow. Peace. Good night, all you people.